background. Lori and I were on staff at the Champaign Vineyard in Champaign, Illinois, when a young couple there, Craig Springer and his wife Sarah, met. And they met in our home. We became very close with them. Actually did their wedding. They went to Prague in the Czech Republic a few years ago and are involved over there in working with the Czech people to stir church planting and just the work of the kingdom of God. They met a man there named Sasa Fleck, and Sasha and Craig have become very good friends. And I'm going to introduce Sasha right now and interview him and let him tell you a little bit about himself. Okay, so Sasha, do you want to make your way up here? Have a seat. Great to have you here.
Thank you for having me.
And Sasha and I just met for the first time yesterday, but feel very attached to him already. And if we could, we'd just love to keep him here, or else tag along with him. One or the other.
Thank you.
But Sasha, would you tell us a little bit about yourself, just your personal details, family, and stuff like that?
All right. As you heard, my name is Sasa Fleck. Actually, it's Alexander Fleck, but it's like Sandy here, so we don't say Sandy, it's Sasha. So just in case you wonder what's my name. And I'm married. My wife's name is Catherine, and we got 4 kids. It will be 20 years since we married this July, 1989 we married. And we have 2 girls. Their ages are 18 and 16, and 2 boys who are 8 and 7 years old. So it comes in waves, kind of.
Yeah. That's cool. I wish we could meet your family. Sasha, would you tell us a little bit about the Czech Republic? What's the culture like? What's the particularly the spiritual atmosphere like right now?
Yeah, it's a country that went through a lot of turmoil during the history, and it's positioned between East and West, between Germany and Russia, basically, and so it's been a crossroads of many different historical happenings, and most of those were quite violent and difficult for our country. A little bit like Israel was sandwiched between Egypt and Babylon, so that's how I sometimes see that. And the result of all of these powers and nations and ideologies that came and violently took over our territory and our people is that today Czech people are very slow to believe anything or anybody, to trust our government or to trust anyone. And 20 years ago, communism collapsed. We had this, what we call Velvet Revolution. It was bloodless, with no violence. And God really did an amazing miracle then. So since then, we've been building free market democracy, and it's a free country now, but free only in a political sense. And people are still very much bound by this lack of trust and inferiority and all that. So church is really a marginal thing in Czech Republic. Most people don't believe in anything. Most people would identify themselves as atheists. About 70% of population would identify themselves as atheists. But it's not an aggressive atheism, it's more a nominal one, like you have nominal Christians, maybe, or we do. So these are mostly nominal atheists who inherited that from their parents, like I did when I was a small child. So church evangelical believers are around 0.2% of the population. We have 10 million people living in Czech Republic and about 20,000 evangelicals.
So you grew up in a home that had no belief in God, and you lived in a culture that at that time was atheistic.
That's right.
I mean, the government was.
Absolutely.
How did you come to know the Lord? How did you come into a relationship with Christ?
Well, there was this hunger within me. My parents were young in the 50s, the time of Stalinist regimes, and at that time a lot of young people believed in communism. That was the only good news they came in touch with. They never heard about Jesus Christ.
So this would be prior to 1989 when the Berlin Wall fell?
Yeah, that's right. That was like my parents' time in the 50s. When I was growing up in the 70s and 80s, nobody any longer believed in communism. It was basically everybody knew it's a lie. We knew that. I mean, the country was surrounded by barbed wire, high voltage, and if it's a paradise, why do you surround it with barbed wire so people can't flee? And many people died trying, actually, and many succeeded also. Hundreds of thousands of people left the country. So anyway, by the time I was growing up, nobody believed in communism, even the teachers who would teach it to us. And they knew that we know that they know that it's a lie. So I grew up with this emptiness and just lack of reality anywhere. I mean, there was nothing real, nothing that you can trust or believe. So I wanted to find something like that. I tried different things, tried different philosophies and books, arts, music, relationships, alcohol, and none of that could fill the void in me. Until the day when I first heard the gospel from my former classmate, who I saw he was different. So he was the first person. I was almost 19 years old. He was the first person who to tell me that who made a sense of Jesus' story and God's story. I never heard before that Jesus rose from the dead. I saw the statues, I saw the crucifixes, but I never heard that actually he rose from the dead, and that the story didn't stop at the cross. It was not a sad story, but that he is the same today, and that he offers you something today.
So it's also, I know you shared with us yesterday that you had a hunger for God, but if you had known how, you would have wanted to come to know God earlier, but you didn't think you were equipped, or? Yeah,
well, I knew some believers, and I envied them. I saw that they got something that I'm looking for, but I thought, and they thought, that it's basically they were born Christians and I was not. And I remember asking a couple of friends who were beautiful people, and I told them I would be ready to believe it, but I don't just make sense. How does it save me that somebody suffered 2,000 years ago? And I suffer today. How more suffering helps? I mean, I don't get it. And so, would you explain for me? And they couldn't explain it. They just had relationship with God, but they didn't know how to share the gospel. So they basically said, well, faith is a gift, and we got it, and you don't seem to have it.
So it sounds like the resurrection, understanding that was a key part. You mentioned that a moment ago.
Oh yeah, especially that verse in Revelation 3:20 where resurrected Christ says, behold, I stand at the door and knock. If you open the door, I will enter and dine with you, and you with me. That was shocking.
Yeah.
That didn't sound like propaganda. Yeah. That sounded like something I can take him by his words here and now. Yeah. And, yeah.
I just want to say, if there's anybody here that you've been wondering how can you connect with God, and you might have believed some God stuff, you might even believe Jesus died on the cross, this is the key thing. He rose from the dead. He's alive today. You can invite him into your life. He's alive. And so, just like Sasha did, you can open your heart and invite him into your life. Absolutely.
It happened for me on February 6, 1987. I finally dared to invite him. I was so afraid what would happen if nothing happened. Because I was scared to be disappointed again. But he didn't disappoint me. No.
Well, you Sasha, you translated the Bible, and by the way, we have the privilege of helping to pay for 12,000 New Testaments just like this one. And Sasha sent this to us, and I'm going to read it to you. It says, this copy of the New Testament was given to 32-year-old Jana from whatever. Czech Republic. After reading it, she gave her life to Jesus Christ. She was baptized and continues to follow him. Thank you, Vineyard Northwest community for enabling us to print 12,000 of these New Testaments. They are reaching people who've never heard the gospel before. So thank you for this.